Hey guys, this is Smithy. Welcome to my channel. If you guys are new here, welcome, and if you guys have already been subscribed to the channel, thank you so much for subscribing. Today we're gonna do a full face of mostly nothing new, but I wanted to try this palette out, and that's why this Get Ready With Me is coming. I picked this out in my 21 Days of Ultra Beauty, and this is their Too Faced Born This Way Natural Notes palette. I like the way this palette is looking. It comes with a mirror and like basic neutral shades like an everyday palette. So this is the eye look that we came out with. I'm using like a majority of Too Faced things in my video. So yeah, stay tuned. If you do want to see how I achieved this look, then please keep on watching. I am so excited. It's going to be a full face of nothing new. A lot of Too Faced here in this video, but we are going to talk about Fenty's newest launch. Have you guys seen that palette? I mean, the palette looks stunning. I'm going to use my Too Faced Hangover Primer, and this is basically the sample size. I need to finish this before it expires. So that's why I'm using this. It's more of the hydrating primer. I'm going to concentrate this all over my face. Yeah, talking about the Fenty's eye palette, when I saw that palette, this Too Faced palette completely came into my mind. It has a similar concept. I think it does have only 10 to 12 shades. I'm not pretty sure. I'll put a picture on the screen. But the concept is very similar. It has like a matte with a corresponding shimmer, and it is more of that rosy brown color story also. So I would say this one has how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you're getting 16 shades here. So you're definitely getting more options here as compared to the Fenty one. But I would say if you take this white section off and probably one of these things off, you probably do have that Fenty palette with you. I don't know how I feel about that, because I feel like the concept is done before and we don't need to see the same concept, especially with the same color story again. For the foundation, I'm going to use my Believe Beauty foundation because I absolutely love it. And this I am in the shade Toffee. I'm going to take this. I have a lot of people to cover on my face today. So let's do that. It's a $5 foundation, but it does wonders. And also, talking about Fenty Beauty, when this eyeshadow palette was released, the promo pictures also had like a face palette. So eyeshadows on one side and then the face palette on the other side. The time that I'm filming it, I know for a fact that it is not a face palette, and it is basically the Diamond Glow Bombs on the other side with like all the 3 shades. So one for a deeper skin. I think the concept is all on the Diamond Bomb, which is more on the lighter white champagne side, and then they have their Fenty Glow shade in the middle, which is the most popular one, and then they have like the chocolate, which is more on the dark, more catered towards the darker skin tone people. And similarly for their eyeshadow palette also, they've kept it in like 3 sections of 4 shadows each. So like a quadrant for each section. So quadrant for Diamond Bomb, a quadrant for Fenty Glow, and a quadrant for chocolate. I like the concept, but I feel they could have like experimented with colors, especially when we are like heading on to the fall winter season. They could have definitely played with like some jewel tones or I don't know, some unique color story. But again, it's a neutral palette that we have seen in the industry over and over again. Now let's move on to the concealer, and I'm going to use my Too Faced Born This Way concealer, and this I'm in the shade Medium Tan. I'm going to concentrate it here. Not bragging about Too Faced at all, because they do a lot of redundant shades too. I am annoyed with their holiday palette this season that completely looks like any other holiday palette that they have released. I still stand by my opinion that the Pumpkin Spice palette is like the most versatile palette that they have done, which is wearable, but it is fun too. So you can do wearable looks, but you can still go like cool tones as well as warm tones. I cannot wait to play with that palette this fall, and that was like my #1 palette for last year, and I was super excited to find what is it gonna be this year's palette, but as soon as I saw the pictures, I was like, dang, you should do something else, Too Faced. I mean, yeah, I do not doubt their eyeshadow quality at all, because I know that they are really good in making eyeshadows, but they should do something about it. Now for the powder, I'm going to take my Too Faced loose setting powder, the Peach Perfect powder, and I'm going to apply it right underneath my eyes as well as on my face too. And this is a beautiful powder. Smoothens everything, it sets right into place. Let me get a bigger brush. I definitely want to do like a, top 10 holiday releases, so that we can like do an informed decision of what we should buy and what we shouldn't. I mean, I'm not telling you what you should buy and what you shouldn't. I am just going to tell you what would be like unique in the industry and what is like a little more on a different side in my collection altogether. Now let's move on to the bronzer. I actually have a face palette. So this palette does have two bronzers. I love this palette. This palette does have like two bronzers, more on like the rosier side and more on the warm tone side. And I also do have their Chocolate Soleil bronzer. So we'll see which one to use, but it's been quite some time that I've not used this. So let's see. Yeah. Because this was more on the deeper side, I think right now, because I'm tan, I can definitely use this one. I love the quality that they put, but they're very inconsistent too. Like I know 2 years before I went with their Christmas collection, which is in the cardboard packaging, and I returned it right back because I couldn't. Oh my god, the shadows were not that blendable. It was more on the patchy side. It did not have that much impact on it. But generally their tin pan packaging, like the pumpkin spice or the gingerbread spice or the gingerbread palette altogether, what they come out on the fall season are really of good quality. I just want them to do less redundant shades. I think the bronzer powder flew into my mouth and it tastes like chocolate right now. Now for the blush, I think I'm going to mix both of them, more on the mauve tone as well as the pinky tone one. I'll mix it and I'll apply it right there. This is a beautiful palette. I got mine on a sale from Sephora when they were going. I think I got it for like half off. Not mad about that at all because I love that palette. I'm going to take the shade called Satin Sheets, which is more on that champagne gold with like a little bit of pink in it. And apply that. Apply a little bit on my nose too, like on the bridge of the nose. And little on the cupid's bow. I highlighted my pimple right away. That's okay. By the time everything is melting together, let's move on to applying this eyeshadow palette because I'm very, very excited. First, I'm going to take the shade called Seashells, this one, and then apply that all across my eyelid, just to get an idea of how everything is. I think that's more like my skin tone shade. Next, I'm going to dip into the shade called Petal from the palette. And this is more on the pale pink side. I just want to see if it shows up on my skin or not. Yeah, it does. This would be lovely for like a overall wash of a shade, like for an everyday look. It appears very light in the pan, but it definitely does show up on my eyes. I'm happy about that. I'm going to apply the same shade on my lower lash line too. Now I'm going to take the shade called Coco from the palette. This appears right up my alley, which is more of that pinky brown shade. I'm going to apply that on the outer corner and the inner corner of the eye because I want to do a halo eye today. This shade actually can be like all over lid shade too and just buffed out with that petal shade, the pink shade in the crease. That would be beautiful. I'm going to take the same shade on my lower lash line. Now just to deepen up my outer corners and the inner corners a tiny little bit, I'm going to take this shade, the deepest shade in the palette, which is called Truffle. I'm going to just tuck the outer corners right in. Super pigmented shade. I'm going to go back to that shade called Coco from the palette and then just blend the edges out. It's super blendable too, so there's nothing to worry, but it does go super deep too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this shade, which is called Sugar Chestnut, and this is a very deep bronzy chocolatey shade. I'm going to apply that on like my eyelid. I'm basically doing all across my eyelid because I want to use one more shimmer shade right in the center. I'm going to take this shade, which is called Sparkling Sand from the palette. That appears really, really nice. With a dry brush, I'm just going to apply it right in the center, just so that it gives me a tiny little bit of pop. Now once we have that all nice and smoky, I'm going to take this shade, which is called Shimmering Pearl from the palette, and apply that as my inner corner shade. That's a beautiful shade too. And I'm pretty sure if I wet it, it's going to give me more impact like the other shades. So let's try that. Let's take the shade Sparkling Sand and then let me see if it does any difference or not. I'm going to wet it with any setting spray that I have. Yeah, just a tiny little bit. I mean, it's definitely more metallic, as you guys can see. I would say definitely apply the shimmers a little more wet if you want more of an impact. But otherwise, they're smooth, they're very nice. The mattes is super blendable. Definitely the highlights is the mattes for me. That's stunning. See, look at the impact that is made in the inner corners. I love that. So now, let's stop that. I'm going to apply a little bit of, I would say, warm rose and cocoa mixed together on my lower lash line. Just to give more of that pinky brown look. And I definitely feel you can do like a look with like only two shadows. This like in the crease, this all over the lid, the same here. I mean, you can do tons of things. You don't need to, but you can definitely achieve like a simple look with this palette. I like it. Is it anything unique? Not really. Am I glad that I have? Yes, absolutely. Okay, so now I'm just going to finish off my eyes with some liner and mascara and I'll get right back. So that's how the eyes are looking so far. I finished off my eyes with applying Essence eyeliner and I used Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara on my eyes. Now for my lips, I already did my lip liner and this is KKW Beauty's Nude 2.5. And for my lipstick, I'm going to take my Too Faced Melted Matte Lipstick in the shade Sugar Cookie, and this is more of that very pale but a pinky nude shade. I'm just going to apply that right in the center and then blend it across with my fingers. Just that. I love that. I absolutely love it. Are we forgetting anything? I don't think so. So that's how everything is looking so far. I really love the smoky eyes. I think it's a really, really good palette. Is it out of the ordinary? Not really, as I said. But for an everyday eyeshadow look, I think you can do so much with this palette. And I love it. I love the variety that is there. I definitely would not use this. I mean, the sparkling, the glistening glow shade, I might, but oh, that's a little duochromy. It's not like white. It's more on that pale gold kind of a shade. but this is too white for me. This is like my setting shade, but this can be like my neutral shade, my rosy shades, my warm tone shades, and like my deepening smoky shades. I like this. I like the concept of this palette a lot. But again, if you're looking for impact, I think there are a lot more impactful shades in the market. But this is slim, sleek, can be like my travel buddy for sure. So that's how everything is looking so far. I love the look. Let me give you a final glance on the look. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and if you do like chatty get ready with me, and if you like tutorials on a specific palette, definitely let me know, and do subscribe to my channel before leaving, and also ring that notification bell so that you're notified every time that I post next. I generally upload 3 times every week, every single week, every Tuesdays, Thursdays and Saturdays at 9 AM Eastern Standard Time. Until next time, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.